These two eggs are going to hatch on the exact same day, but right now, they don't even look like they belong to the same planet. This one, I need both hands just to hold it without dropping it. It weighs more than a bag of sugar. And this one, it's so light, if I open a window, it could actually blow away. That's a 1,000 times difference in weight. Same incubator, same temperature, same 21 days. And by the end of this video, both of them are going to crack open and something is going to walk out of each one. But here's the part nobody expects. The smaller egg isn't just smaller, it's built differently. And when I tell you what happened on day 14, you are not going to believe it. I've hatched over 30 different species in this lab: reptiles, birds, insects, but I have never put two eggs this far apart side by side. So today, we're finding out, does size actually decide who survives first, or does nature have a different plan? Stick around, because the ending of this video is the reason I almost didn't upload it. Let's get into it. So, after 21 days of incubation and two very different hatching days, here's where we land. The small egg hatched first by about 12 hours, and its hatchling grew faster in the short term. The heavy egg took longer to hatch, but produced an animal that was more physically developed right from the start and is set up for much longer term growth. Size didn't determine winning, it determined strategy. And honestly, that's a more interesting result than I expected going into this. Both of them are healthy, both are growing well, and I'll be giving you an update on how they're doing in a future video. Because at this rate, in a few months, the size gap between them is going to be even more insane than it already is. If you want to see what these two look like in 3 months, let me know in the comments. And make sure you're subscribed, because that update is coming. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Here's the twist I promised you at the start of this video. Based on egg size alone, you'd assume the bigger animal grows faster and stronger from day 1. That's not what happened. By day 14 post-hatch, the small hatchling has already tripled its hatching weight. Its metabolism runs so fast that it's converting food into growth at an incredible rate. The large hatchling, meanwhile, has grown, but proportionally much slower. It's still building the foundation for a much longer, much larger growth process that, in the wild, could take months or even years to complete. In other words, the smaller egg wins the sprint. The bigger egg is playing a completely different game, a marathon, not a race. Neither one is actually faster. They're just built on two totally different timelines, and it took actually raising them side by side, not just hatching them, to see that clearly. This is the part textbooks don't really capture. You have to watch it happen in real time. For the first 48 hours, both hatchlings stay in separate brooder boxes. This isn't optional. A creature this much bigger could genuinely hurt the smaller one just by moving around, even without meaning to. Each brooder is set to the temperature that species specifically need, because chicks can't regulate their own body heat yet. They rely completely on an external heat source for the first 1 to 2 weeks of life. By day 3, the small hatchling's feathers have fully dried and fluffed out, and it's already standing and moving around confident, pecking at food on its own. The large hatchling is also standing now, and it's genuinely surprising how steady it already is on its feet compared to how fragile it looked hatching just 3 days ago. This is where the size story gets even more interesting, because feeding requirements are wildly different. The small one eats these tiny, almost dust-sized portions every couple of hours. The large one eats significantly more per meal, but less frequently, because its body can store and process more energy at once. By day 7, I introduce short, supervised time together in a larger enclosure, with me right there the entire time. And weirdly, they don't ignore each other. The small one seems curious, hopping close and then darting back. The large one is just calm, unbothered, like it already knows it doesn't need to worry about much. Watching two animals with 1,000 times weight difference exist in the same space, both having survived the exact same 21-day process, is honestly one of the coolest things I've filmed on this channel. 12 hours later, the heavy egg starts moving. Remember that strange, fast-growing air pocket from day 14? It turns out that wasn't a problem at all. It was actually early prep. This egg had been quietly getting ready to hatch faster than expected for its size. The first crack appears just past noon, and unlike the small egg's neat little pip, this crack is huge, almost a third of the shell all at once. That thick, tough shell I mentioned back in segment 2, it needs serious force to break, so when it finally gives way, it goes fast. Within 20 minutes, there's a hole big enough to see movement inside. I can hear deep, low chirping, completely different in tone from the first hatchling's high-pitched peeping. 1 p.m. The shell shell splits almost completely in half, and this massive, wet, wobbling creature pushes itself out. It is nothing like the first, where the small hatchling was delicate and fragile looking. This one is already trying to lift its head within minutes of hatching. Some larger precocial species are born far more developed than smaller ones, able to stand and sometimes even walk within hours. Side by side, right now, the size difference is honestly funnier in real life than I expected. The small hatchling could probably stand underneath this one like an umbrella. Two completely different eggs, two completely different hatching processes, two babies that could not look more different. But now comes the part of this experiment I actually care about the most. What happens when I raise them together? Day 21, 6 a.m. I hear it before I see it. Faint tapping sound coming from the incubator. It's the small egg. There's a tiny crack near the top, right where the air pocket. This first crack is called the pip, and once it happens, the countdown to full hatching usually takes anywhere from a few hours to a full day. I am not leaving this room. 7:30 a.m. The crack has grown into a small circle. I can actually hear peeping now, faint, muffled, from inside the shell. This next part is critical. I do not help. It's incredibly tempting to just peel the shell open and speed things up, but the chick needs this struggle. Pushing through the shell is what forces fluid out of its lungs and builds the strength it needs to stand and move afterward. Helping too early can actually kill it. 9 a.m. Bigger crack. I can see a tiny beak. 9:45, and there it is. The shell splits, and out comes this small, damp, exhausted little creature, completely spent from the effort, but alive. Look at the size of this thing compared to my hand. It doesn't even look real yet. The feathers are wet and stuck to its body. Its eyes are barely open, but it is breathing, and it is here. One down, one to go. And based on what we saw with that air pocket on day 14, the heavy egg might not be far behind. Day 12. The tiny egg is now moving almost constantly when I candle it. I can hear tapping. This is completely normal. It's the embryo repositioning itself, getting into hatching position with its head near the air pocket at the top of the shell. The heavy egg is finally catching up. By day 14, I can see clear movement for the first time. And this is the moment I mentioned at the start of the video, because something strange happens here. The heavy egg's air pocket, the little gap of space at the top where the chick breathes before it fully hatches, is growing faster than it should for this stage. That usually means one of two things. Either the shell is losing moisture too quickly, or the embryo is developing ahead of schedule. I adjust the humidity slightly, add a bit more moisture to that side of the incubator, and keep watching. Day 16. The tiny egg starts what's called internal pip. That means the chick has broken through the inner membrane and is now breathing air from the pocket for the first time, even though it's still fully inside the shell. This is a huge milestone. From here, external hatching, actually breaking through the shell, is usually only 1 to 3 days away. The heavy egg is still developed, but slower, as expected for something this size. Bigger animals generally need more total incubation time. Day 18. Day 19. Both eggs are rocking slightly on their own now. Actual physical movement I can see without any light or tool. Whatever's inside knows it's almost time. Day 20. I don't sleep well this night, because tomorrow, one of these two is going to crack open. Days 1 through 5, honestly, not much happens on the outside. This is the part of incubation nobody shows you because it's mostly waiting. But on the inside, everything is happening. By day 5, I candle both eggs. That just means holding a bright light against the shell in a dark room so I can see what's forming inside. On the heavy egg, I can already see a web of blood vessels spreading out and a small dark shape starting to form. That's the embryo. The tiny egg develops faster in the beginning. Smaller animals generally have quicker metabolisms even before birth. So by day 5, I can already see a heartbeat flickering inside, this tiny, rapid pulse of movement. By day 8, the difference is even clearer. The heavy egg's embryo is still small relative to the size of the egg. It has a lot of yolk to work through before it fully develops. The tiny egg's embryo already takes up almost half the shell. Day 10 check-in. Both are developing normally. No cracks, no bad signs, temperature holding steady. But here's something I didn't expect. The tiny egg has already started making a faint clicking sound when I candle it. That's early movement. The heavy egg is still completely silent. If I had to guess right now, I'd say the small egg is going to hatch first. But stick with me, because days 11 through 20 are where this whole experiment turns upside down. Before either egg goes in, I have to set up the incubator properly, and this is actually where most people mess this experiment up. Temperature has to sit right around 37.5 degrees Celsius. That's the number nature has settled on for almost every bird egg, big or small. Too high, and development speeds up, but the embryo can develop deformities. Too low, and everything slows down or stops completely. Humidity is the trickier part. The heavy egg has a thicker shell, which means it loses moisture more slowly, so it actually needs slightly higher humidity to stay balanced. The tiny egg has a thinner shell, so it loses moisture fast, and if I'm not careful, it can dry out within days. So I'm running two separate humidity zones inside the same incubator using small dividers. This way, both eggs get the exact conditions they need at the exact same time in the exact same box. I'm also marking both eggs with a small pencil X on one side. This lets me track rotation. Every egg needs to be turned several times a day, or the embryo can stick to the shell wall and not develop properly. It's a small detail, but it's the difference between a healthy hatch and no hatch at all. All right, temperature's locked in, humidity's set, both eggs are marked and placed. The countdown starts now. 21 days on the clock. Okay, let's actually look at what we're working with because the size difference is even crazier up close. This is the heavy egg. It's roughly the size of a grapefruit, pale cream in color, with a thick, almost leathery shell. Eggs this heavy usually belong to large, flightless birds, species that trade the ability to fly for size, strength, and a shell tough enough to survive being sat on by an animal that weighs over 100 kilograms. And then there's this one. It fits on the tip of my finger. The shell is almost translucent if you hold it up to the light. You can actually see movement inside already. Eggs this small usually come from birds that need to stay light enough to hover or dart through tight spaces. Every gram matters for them. So already, before either of them hatch, we know these two animals are going to live completely different lives. One is built for power. One is built for speed. The real question is, does the incubation process care about any of that? Does a bigger egg actually take longer? Does a smaller egg hatch faster just because there's less to build? That's what today is about.